Post-COVID lockdown and since restrictions have relaxed, it's been a goal of mine to invite people from a wide cross-section of society to speak to my students. So far, we've had an expert in South American culture, the mayor, juvenile court judge, and last we had a juvenile probation officer that have all either come into the building or through Zoom talk to our students from about a host of things from South American culture when we were studying about the Americas in social studies to the local issues when we were looking at citizenship. And then in the last case, Chris Wallis, the juvenile judge, who is also the pastor at Outreach North Church here in MacArthur, talked to our fifth graders as they are beginning to enter the phase where they'll be transitioning to middle school. And so his goal is to come in and just talk to them about life and about choices and just different things like that. And so this video is featuring Chris Wallis, and this will start a new series of videos that I'm calling CED Talks. And maybe you've heard about TED Talks. And what TED Talks are, they're a long-form, unedited video, and they're from speakers from all walks of life. And their goal is to educate and inspire people. So basically, I just took the TED, dropped the T, and put a C for Central in front of it. So stick around, watch the whole video. It's going to be a long one today. Happy Easter.
So much for the introduction. As he said, my name is Chris Wallis, and when I was asked to come speak to your group, I was really excited. I was hopeful maybe Joe Burrow would be here too, but he's not, so you all are stuck with me. Just a little bit about myself. I am married to the most beautiful woman in the world. Her name is Nikki, and she is the absolute love of my life. We've been married for 25 years. We have two great kids, and because I am old, they are older. I have a 20-year-old and a 23-year-old, two boys that are absolutely fantastic. As he said, I'm a pastor at a local church here called Outreach North, but I also work for the state as a juvenile parole officer, which means that pretty much every day of my life, I get to work with young people. And there's no other group of people as a whole that I would rather work with. I was actually a youth pastor for 18 years, right? So that's a long time. But the reason I do these things is because I want to see young people be able to make great decisions in their life. How many of you have ever made a bad decision? How many of you, your parents, have ever asked the question, why did you do that? And you all say, I don't know. Exactly. But this is what we need to realize today, is that the decisions that we make will determine the direction our lives take. So decision making is really important, and you're no different than I am. Every once in a while, we're going to make a bad decision. But my job as a pastor and as a parole officer is to hold people accountable for their decisions, and probably more importantly than holding people accountable is to teach people how to make better decisions. So we've all agreed in here that we've made bad decisions. Anybody in here that's never made a bad decision?
You're a liar. Whoever says that, that's cap.
That's cap. That's cap. All right. So first of all, no cap here. All right.
Yeah, no cap. You can get the man.
But I have made bad decisions in my life, and if you guys would just let me for a few minutes, I'd love to share with you one of my really bad decisions when I was a kid. Is that okay? Yeah, we're all in this together. So, how many of you have dreams of what you want to be when you get older? Yeah, what's your dream?
I want to open my own restaurant.
Your own restaurant. All right, a restaurateur. Yeah. Yeah, you want to sing. Awesome. What a dream. Yeah, right there in the back in the red championship. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
You had your hand up. What's your dream?
I don't know.
Professional gamer, probably.
Yeah, like, let's just be the best in Fortnite. Why not?
Okay, but I'm just going to tell you, if you want to be the best at Fortnite, you've got to be able to build up high and quick. Because you're probably the kid online that's shooting me as I'm up in the air shooting like that. Yes. You? Yeah.
I want to be an artist.
An artist. Awesome. Just a couple of more. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
I want to be a zoologist.
A zoologist?
Yeah, I can.
What a great dream. Okay, last one. Yep.
I want to own a snake.
You want to own a snake?
Good job. Life goals.
You can put your hands down now. You can put your hands down. Those are all great dreams, right? The snake I'm a little bit iffy about, but hey, if it's your dream, it's your dream. But when I was a kid, I didn't want to be a zoologist. I didn't want to be a singer. I did want a snake at one time, come to think of it. But what I wanted to be more than anything in this world was not a pastor, was not a juvenile parole officer. What I wanted to be was a professional skateboarder. That was the time when Tony Hawk was in his heyday, and I just knew that I was going to become a professional skateboarder. You guys can put your hands down. I'll get with you after this. We'll have time, I promise. But there was only one problem to my dream of becoming a professional skateboarder. I didn't have a skateboard.
I called it.
So I did what any 10-year-old kid would have done. I asked my dad, hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up?
I asked my dad and my grandma, I said, hey, I really want a skateboard for Christmas. And so I was anticipating Christmas morning. I was looking forward to it. I was up early. I don't know about you all, but I'm 47. I still get up early on Christmas morning, right? So I was up early. I was waking everybody in the house up, but I didn't want to make them mad, so you got to pretend like you accidentally wake them up early on Christmas morning. And I remember getting underneath that Christmas tree, and a lot of you probably know what this is like. You begin unwrapping stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So one after the other, I began to unwrap, and guess what? You guys have asked for skateboards too, huh?
I got one piece skate.
All right. Now check this out. This is what happened though. I didn't get a skateboard that morning, and I was really disappointed. You know how you really want something, and then maybe it's happened in your life, then you don't get it? I was so disappointed. But wouldn't you know it, right after I'd got done opening up our gifts, my friend, whose name was actually Guy, a guy named Guy, right? Yeah, I promise, was knocking on the door. He knocked on the door, and he was so excited. A guy named Guy said, Chris, guess what? I'm like, what? He got a skateboard. Now, look, skateboards in 2022 are super fancy. Skateboards in 1984, not so much. So, what Guy had was a blue plastic skateboard with yellow wheels on it. And man, I remember in that moment, I wanted more than anything to ride Guy's skateboard. But there was one thing. He said, I'll let you ride my skateboard if you ride it down the hill. Now, yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. So here is Guy with his shiny blue skateboard and yellow wheels, and here we are outside in our neighborhood, and we're looking down the hill.
It's gonna be red.
And he's like, You want to ride it? I was like, yeah, I want to ride it. And so I hopped on the skateboard. And all of a sudden, I'm flying down this hill. And it was going so fast, and I don't know how much you know about skateboards, because most of you probably don't want to be a professional skateboarder like that. Yeah? So the trucks and the wheels, I was going so fast that they started shaking. That little shiny plastic blue skateboard started shaking so fast and so hard that my cheeks were literally like... So I'm riding. And you guys remember? It's December because that's Christmas time, right? And I knew I was in trouble. But you all know the little cinders that they put on the back roads when it snows sometimes? The wheels were going so fast, my cheeks were going like this. And one of those little yellow wheels stopped on a cinder about that big. The skateboard stopped on a dime. But guess what didn't stop? The skateboard stops. Chris keeps going. And the next thing you know, my legs couldn't keep up with how fast I was going. I trip and I slide on the asphalt, and the cinders clear down my side. Now, I was 10 at the time, so I was a man. So I cried like crazy. And I went running home to my grandma Wallis. I went running home. I was scraped up. I was bloody. And probably worse than anything, I had little black cinders stuck in my side.
Are they still there?
No. They're not still there, but I do still have a scar. I'm not showing. So my grandma gets there, and she has a scrub brush and hydrogen peroxide because she has to get the cinders out. It was painful. It stings. It was painful. I was hurting. And that's when I decided this is one of the worst decisions I have ever made. Now, how does that relate to you? How does that relate to you? I'll let you know. As fifth graders, right? We're fifth graders in here? You're going to go into the middle school next year, and some of you are making decisions even today that are big decisions. And what I've realized is, in the same way, the same thoughts that were going through my mind are the same thoughts that I see that lead people that I pastor into bad decision making. It's the same thought process that I see juveniles that I work with that get in trouble with the law. It's the same process. And so if I can keep some of you in here from making a bad decision by helping you realize the thought process that goes through our minds before we make it, I think we're going to do some good work here today. How many of you are ready for it? Ready? All right. Step number one. Here was my thought. I wanted something, and I wanted it right now. So many times in life, people make bad decisions because they see something that somebody else has, and they want that thing, and they're not willing to wait for it. They want it right now. Listen, whenever you begin to want something that somebody else has, it's the start of a bad decision is in the works. Okay? But the worst decision, or the worst thought is, I want it now. I'm not willing to wait for it. And when we're unwilling to wait for things, we end up doing things that are really stupid, for lack of a better word. We do things that don't make any sense. And how many of you know that Chris going down a big hill on a shiny blue skateboard with yellow plastic wheels made no sense? But I chose to do it because I wanted it now. The other thing that got me into trouble is not only did I want it now, but I thought to myself, this looks fun. This looks fun. I'm telling you, There will be a lot of things in this world and a lot of decisions that you will make about things that will look fun but aren't fun in the end. So a lot of the kids that I work with on parole, they're not bad kids. What's happened? A lot of them have come from bad situations where they've made bad decisions, where they've thought, I want this and I want it now. And they've thought to themselves, it looks like fun, right? Just because it looks fun doesn't mean that it's not good for you. The third mistake I made in my thought process, I thought I could handle it. Oh, I hear about the dangers of drugs and alcohol, but you know what happens? People think they can handle it. They think that it won't happen to them. They hear about the consequences of bad decision making, but people in general think this will never happen to me. You know why? Because we think we can handle this. Man, when I saw that hill and I saw that shiny blue skateboard, I thought in my mind, I can handle this. I can start down this path, I can start down this hill, and if it gets going too fast, I can just jump off of this thing anytime and will not get hurt.
You thought that was a mistake.
I thought wrong. But you know what? There are people and kids even your age, believe it or not, that begin making decisions that they think, well, this will never hurt me. I see it hurting other people, but it won't hurt me. And in the end, they realize, I can't handle this, and they're going so fast, they trip and fall. Why did I tell you this story? Because I love people. Specifically, I really love working with kids. And I am so tired. It breaks my heart when I see kids hurting because of decisions they make. How many of you would be honest enough to just raise your hand real quick and say, Chris, I've made some decisions that have hurt me in my life? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Put your hands down. Put your hands down. And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. I'm sure that you've seen other people make bad decisions that have hurt them. So here's what I want you to think about. And I did it too when I was in 5th grade. Chris, why did you make that decision? I don't know. But the reality is this. The reality is this. Before you ever make a decision, before I ever make a decision, we have to think about it. So whenever you're having these thoughts, well, I want it and I want it now, replace it with a thought that says, you know what? I want this, but I'm willing to wait for it. Whenever you're having a thought, well, it looks fun and everybody else is doing it, remind yourself, hey, just because it looks fun doesn't mean it's good. The third thing is whenever you're trying to make a decision and in your head you're thinking, I can handle it, remember there are things and decisions that you make that you can't handle. And if you choose wrongly, it will leave you hurting. Okay? I said all that to say this. I'm rooting for you. I want to see each and every single one of you live absolutely beautiful, incredible lives. But the decisions you make determine the direction your life takes. So make good decisions. All right, how are we on time?
We got a couple minutes.
A couple minutes. All right, I'll take a couple of questions. Question.
I ran in with my little brother with the bike one time.
That's a statement. But is he okay? Is he alive? Okay.
I watched my brother have a plastic baseball bat.
Bad decision, bad decision. Questions, questions. All right, we're taking questions. Go ahead.
What's your least favorite part of your job?
The least favorite part of my job is when I have to take a young person to jail.
Let me go.
Yeah, that's the least, and that's the truth. That's the least favorite part of my job. Because people don't belong in jail. Yes?
Did your friend just sit there and look
A guy named Guy was more concerned about his brand new skateboard than he was his best friend. Yeah. Good question.
Have you ever worked with sixth graders who make bad decisions?
Yes, I have worked with sixth graders that have made bad decisions. I've actually worked with a couple of fifth graders. Great question.
Why was his name Guy?
I don't know. I wasn't in the delivery room, so go figure. I don't know.
I punched my brother and I broke his nose.
Make better decisions. I want to get to everybody. A couple more. Yeah. It was the yellow wheels that did me in. Okay. Two more questions. Who's got a really good question? Okay. First we'll go with you. Yes.
What was your worst situation with?
Worst situation with what? Probably the worst that I have to deal with is when I'm working with a juvenile that their parents have made really poor choices and decisions in their life, and because of their decisions, the kid that I'm working with suffers and doesn't have a home or a family to go back to. That's heartbreaking for me. One more? I'm awful at Fortnite. I see people first. I'm convinced of it. I'm pretty sure that, but I just can't aim. You know, I miss it. All right. Okay, good one.
What's the youngest age group that's ever done something bad that you had to work with? What's the youngest person?
That I've worked with as a parole officer? 13. As a parole officer.